Hey, Richard, thank you for letting me come to BlueByrd and talk to you today. This is the first podcast that I've done for National Business Development Association. So thank you for being my inaugural interview, and thank you for letting us use your lovely facilities. So really appreciate it. We can go ahead and jump right into it because you have had a long and very exciting career, I think. Wanted to start out by asking you, first of all, how did you start BlueByrd Strategic Sales and Marketing? And what led you to get into marketing and sales in the first place? Probably two separate questions.
Yeah. First off, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on the first one.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to be a guinea pig. So it'll be fun. And business development is something that's near and dear to my heart that I didn't know that was all my life, but as I've gone on to learn more, I really have come to embrace business development. Realized that I was been a business development person all my life.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So I started BlueByrd Strategic Sales and Marketing in 2019, February of 2019. We're coming up on our 5-year anniversary.
Wow. I didn't realize. Well,
Yeah. And I don't necessarily recommend starting a business the year before, but it worked out for us. We grew every year that we started, and we're doubling year over year.
Wow.
And
fantastic.
all that. And it was great. And it's like when I started BlueByrd, I really just wanted it to be a single shingle type of operation. And just wanted to have a job where I just had to feed myself. And I'd come from a lot of business development type roles in the past where I had to be responsible for a lot of income and bring in a lot of business. And so I thought, I just want to feed myself. I don't want to support a whole organization. I want to choose the clients I want to work with. And I just started a marketing consultancy.
Yes.
And I was a fractional chief marketing officer, and that's still a core part of our business. We've expanded since then. But one of the things I learned about myself, I think entrepreneurship is one of those things where you do learn a lot about yourself. And one of the things I learned about myself was that I really, I like building things and I like collaborating, and I don't like being the only person in the room.
Right.
And I like having a team. And when I really look back at all the jobs I've had, I've always been happiest when I'm building. And so I decided it was not going to just be a lifestyle business. I'm going to build a business. We're on that journey now to build a larger, more robust organization.
And you have a great team too.
Yeah, that's right. I've got a phenomenal team, and that was one of the first things I decided to do when I decided it was not going to be a lifestyle business, was put together an executive team. So I brought in some team members that I really trusted and knew well. And I think it's one of the great things about first start off with a business, you can just bring people to trust already.
Yeah.
Hire from your network and worked with in the past. And so there's not been a lot of surprises. But as you get bigger, you run out of people that you have to start hiring from the street. Right?
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about it. It's funny that you say I didn't know I was in business development, and then I figured out that I'm good at it. And that's how I got into it too. Started out in marketing, then went into recruiting, which is basically sales. You don't realize it until you get into it. And then a lot of business development on both ends of that. But tell me a little bit about how you started your career and how you got into marketing and then business development.
Yeah, sure. So I started my career. I'll start off by saying I'm a recovering graphic designer. And I started on my career in graphic design, and I worked at a lot of B2B agencies and design firms. And I really loved nerding out on design. And it was fun. I was always an artsy person, an artsy kid. And so I really loved that part of my career. But as we shifted, I got more into doing annual reports. And so here was this young kid, and I'm talking to CEOs about their strategy and trying to think about how to convert that strategy into a story that they put in the annual reports and make investors, wow, these guys, no matter what kind of year they had, we would take a spin on it and say, sure, we didn't make as much money this year, but we've invested for the future, or whatever it was. Right. And I thought that, and so I really loved that. And as I got more and more involved in that part of the work, I worked really closely with a lot of oil and gas companies and oil and gas services companies and all that. And then I got recruited to go to work for a company called Schlumberger, and now they're called SLB.
Yep.
And so I worked there for,
not sure if anyone's heard of it.
Yeah, that little company. And so I was their global creative director. And there, it sounds like a creative role. It really is not very creative. It's all about managing staff. And I had a team that I was responsible for in Houston, and I had another team I was responsible for in the UK. And what me and the team did, what the team and I did was we really worked to help commercialize offerings. Someday is a technology company and roll out our technologies. We had very worthy adversaries, and we had to convince the market and our customers that our products were better than our worthy competitors. And we always sold at a premium. We had to convince them not only that our products were better than everybody else's, but they should also pay a premium to work with us. And so it was I learned a ton of commercializing products and marketing, and that we really started getting closer to working with the sales teams. And one of the things, this before I started realizing I was a business development person, I thought we were just going to do our marketing stuff. We're going to do cool, clever, awesome stuff. Maybe we're going to come up with cool headlines. We're going to have their fancy parties, cool websites, and all the stuff that marketing people like to do. And then when I went through a sales class and with SLP, and I was in the room with a bunch of sales professionals, and they were talking about things that we all had to get up in front of the class and do a presentation. And so nobody likes presenting in front of a crowd, right? And so there was about 100 people in the training, and we had to get up, stand in front of 100 people and sell something. And one of the people that went up was talking about a product we just recently commercialized in the market. And he proceeded to give the worst presentation I've ever seen in my life. And ugly sales deck. And at the end, he said, and we're working on some case studies, and I'm going to work those out. And then, so I was like, oh my gosh. So I talked to the guy on the break, and I said, at the end, you said you were working on case studies. I said, do you know, I'm in marketing. We have 10 case studies for this product, right? And he's like, oh, and I introduced them to this really wonderful thing called public website.
Right.
And so Pete, walked through all that, and it was really interesting for him to do that. And I thought, man, sales and marketing, we've got to do a better job.
Right.
And we had done some other things like commercialized stuff and forgot to tell the salespeople about it. So we really, again, a really integrated approach. The team put together this process to integrate the salespeople with our marketing stuff, so they weren't surprised that we were all these things. So it was really,
didn't know we had that tool. A lot easier to have happen when you're in a company the size of Schlumberger then SLB now, right?
Yeah.
No what you
that's right. Nobody there's so much.
Yeah.
And so they're rich with resources. It was really an awesome experience. And then from there, I went back to the agency side of the world. So I went to work for one of our vendors, and it was a B2B marketing agency that helped us with some things. And in that role, they said, we want you to be a strategist, but we also want you to do business development. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not a sales guy. I can't do sales. And the owner of the agency at the time said, you know what? I think that, let me ask you a question. You are passionate about helping people, are you? And I was like, yes. I love it. I love solving these marketing problems and challenges and all that. And you've never met a stranger. I've known you for a long time, which was definitely true. And he said, if you don't mind meeting people, you don't mind trying to help them solve their problems, that is what business development is. And I thought, interesting. And being able to work both sides of the fence is really useful. And understanding how marketing works and how sales should feed in, or marketing should feed the sales team, the business development team, by creating all this thought leadership content and all the sales collateral and sales enablement tools and all that other stuff. And then knowing how to use those tools properly really helped me to have a lot of empathy for business development people that I was probably lacking earlier in my career. A lot of marketing people don't have a lot of empathy for business development people. Door slammed in your face or these kinds of things. And it turned out I really loved it. I loved doing the business development side of it, and it was really fun. And I was responsible for a pretty big quota that I had to meet. And I was like, what's this quota thing? This is exactly like, oh, I don't like quotas. But it was great. It gave me that challenge that it's a monthly number that I knew I had a scorecard. If I hit that number, then I didn't get well. If I doubled that number, it was really good. And I didn't hit that number, it was not a good one. And so it was really humbling experience and a very educational experience. And then when I left that company to start BlueByrd, it was phenomenal to have that skill in my toolbox, right? A tool in my toolbox to being able to sell, because if you start a business, you're the only salesperson, especially in consulting business. Sure. If you're not selling, then you don't have a business. Exactly. And I was able to leveraged those skill sets and leveraged work and built a good foundation for BlueByrd.
I think that's great. I think I do a lot of which consulting with people who are in transition. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, I'm just going to go do my own consulting business. They don't think about the
Yeah.
And you are the salesperson and you have to do that. That's your main job until you start getting everything built up. Having that background in doing the training at SLB and coming through and then starting to get into your own background set you up perfectly.
Yeah, it
for
was nice.
BlueByrd.
There
Yeah.
was, like I said, if you can't sell, then you don't have a business.
Oh, sure.
And so
Yeah.
it was a long time before you feel confident enough to hire sales
Mhm.
people for your
Yeah.
business. And still to this day, I'm the only business development
Mhm.
person in BlueByrd officially.
Right.
Now, part of our culture is that everybody's in sales,
Sure.
and some people embrace that more than others.
Mhm.
But that's one of the things we have our quarterly meetings, and that's one of the things that we tell people every month.
Yeah.
Is everybody is in sales
Yeah.
here, and you should be looking for ways to introduce Byrd, or
Right.
if people are working with us and they're not using our fullest capabilities, there's other things that we can help them probably that we're not helping with, but they might not even know that we do. And so you should talk to them.
I want to ask you, as you're thinking back on your career, what accomplishment are you most proud of? And what was the biggest challenge for you to get to that accomplishment?
I'll tell you that my biggest accomplishment, or the thing I'm most proud of, is the team that we built here at
Yeah.
BlueByrd.
Yeah.
And I think that is building the company with the team mindset,
Mhm.
and hiring the Shane Carlson and David Neary as managing
Yeah.
partners, and starting with that core staff. So you don't feel like you have to do everything yourself. People you can ideas off of, and all that was so critical to the success. And Shane and Ian do all that hiring and all that. And I don't even have to worry about that stuff
Right.
anymore. And they're the ones who really, I have to total credit to them. They're the ones who built the team.
Sure.
And so it's just been amazing being able to work with that caliber of people and all that. And I think a lot of people that start businesses, sometimes they're afraid to bring on a person with a big salary, and they
Right.
usually start by like hiring an assistant first,
Mhm.
and then maybe a junior level person, junior
Yeah.
level staff, and all that. And I knew I didn't want to do that. I wanted to bring in veterans, and I did not want to be the smartest person in the room. And by the way, it's not very hard for me not to be the smartest person, but it's really great to be able to do that. And that's what I'm really proud of. I think I'm definitely an entrepreneur to the
Mhm.
core. And I think one of the cool things about entrepreneurship is that you create jobs with a business. And 5 years ago, there were no jobs
Yeah.
that created by BlueByrd.
Sure.
And they were just for me.
Yeah.
And now we have over 10 people working with us. And we're looking to hire more people, and we have a whole list of contractors. And there are a lot of people who are making their livelihood off of the work that BlueByrd presents. And it's without BlueByrd, those jobs wouldn't be there.
That is such a huge accomplishment. I want to ask you a little bit about leadership because I think it's great that you thought I'm going to bring some strong people in and people that can be my partners that I can work with. How did you think about that? Did you pull in my mind, I think, Ian's very technical, right? He's on the IT side, and so that brings that strength and programming. And from what I remember when I first started working with you, and then Shannon has a lot of the digital and social and all of that. Did you build that way, or how did you think about getting that core team together?
Yeah, I think the Shannon and Ian, they're both ninjas in their own right.
They are.
And so I think it's like starting a sports team, or when you have an NFL
Yeah.
team and you're the 30 years, I'm just going to get first best available draft pick I can get.
Right.
Because we need everything. And as soon as there were some things like Ian and we had worked a bit together in the past, non-circumvention, we had to wait out. But we had talked that I really wanted him to come on, be part of the team, because he's good at a lot of things. And when you first start a business, you need people that are good at a lot of things.
Sure.
Because you need a lot of work, and you need people who can jump in and fill in the gaps. And we're still small, and we still have to do that. Ian is our head of finance. He's only 1 year of that finance degree. And
I didn't know that about him. But
yeah.
That's okay.
and he's also our head of consulting, because he's a very good consultant.
Yeah.
And so it's about website. And so anyway, UI, UX, all that stuff. And then Shannon came on board. And the great thing about when Shannon was actually employee number one.
Yeah.
And so the great thing about her, she really compliments me. We do personality assessments here. and we use the Byrd method in
Mhm.
order to gauge our personalities. My personality and Shannon's personality are diametrically opposed. What she's good at and what I'm good at are she's just complimenting
That
so
does
well.
not surprise me at all, but yeah,
And
that's
she's organized. I
Mhm.
am. And so anyway, whenever when she came on board first, yeah, I was like, I just needed to be able to leave a meeting and not have all the tasks.
Yeah.
Because I was in that seller doer conundrum.
Yeah.
So if you're doing, you're not selling. If you're selling, you're not doing. If you're not doing, you're not making money. And so you can get into this whole thing of I was sitting there working, I would finish a project and then that project would end. I got to go sell again.
Right. And then
And
you have to
so,
keep it going.
yeah, you've got to be nudging the sales pipeline and doing marketing, doing business development nonstop. And if you're next people on the project, can't do it. So when I would leave a meeting, when I first was just me, I left with all the to-do for the meeting. And Brian and Shannon, she got 20% of the to-dos
Yeah.
and then she got half the to-dos and then she was doing all the work.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, and so now I have time to do other things. And then we would have more clients or win other projects. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, now we have more work than Shannon and I can do. What do we do now? So that's just how we
built out. Tell me a little bit about with BlueByrd, and even if you're thinking about with Schlumberger, et cetera, what have you found? So about BlueByrd first.
Yeah, sure.
What strategies have been the most effective in driving the sales and business development?
So there's a lot of things that work well for us. One is referral partners have been really big for us. And I think that's one of the things I've been very fortunate in my career to have a nice network. And a lot of my people in my network will referred business to us in the early days. We're doing any marketing work or anything like that. And that network today is still very strong for us.
Right.
We get a lot of referrals from past clients. We get a lot of referrals from friends and other consultants and just general people in my network, the organizations I'm a part of, and Houston Business Marketing Alliance. That was like good for business development, but it's also been great from a recruiting perspective.
Sure.
I think half the people who work for me came from
You found there?
ADMA. That number is our number one source, I would say. Still to this day, it's been
Question regarding, do you do anything other than just being members in these organizations to nurture that referral? Do you talked about you have meetings with your team and say, look, your job is to evangelize and do this, but do you train or do you have a program for referrals that you use, or how have you built that?
Yeah. So sometimes it's mutual. So sometimes I send business their way, and I think you ever heard of a book called The Go Giver?
Yes.
So I'm a big believer in that methodology, and we're very generous with our referrals.
Yeah.
And one of the things that happens, especially in a fractional CMO engagement, is we're really engaged with the C-suite of the organization. Then we attend their weekly meetings, and we're at the table when decisions are being made.
Yeah.
We recognize things sometimes, right? Well, we've had a hard time getting our arms around finance, and our CFO seems to not be able to provide that data. Would you like for us to maybe help get the finance house in order? We know a fractional CFO we could introduce you to that think would be a good fit, or we love EOS. We run our company on EOS. And so we will recognize that there's not a lot of accountability or transparency in a lot of companies. And we'll say, hey, would you like to meet a EOS integrator? Because I think that will really help your organization. We know several, we'll introduce you to them. And so that work has been really being able to do that and be generous with our referrals.
It always comes back to you.
And I think it really doesn't. And even if it doesn't, that's okay. We really are in service of our clients and to help them grow. And one of the things that is very true about a CMO position is you get fired for a lot of things that have anything to do with marketing.
Sure.
And if you're working with sales and you're generating a ton of leads and the sales people can't close those leads, then you still get fired as the marketing person because they go, you sent a bunch of bad leads and the revenue's not growing. Ultimately, CMOs are accountable for revenue.
Yeah.
And if salespeople can't close the deals that you put in the pipeline, then you get fired.
Yeah.
If operations has a misstep and they can't produce to keep up with demand that you supply, then they're going to fire marketing because they say, we don't need marketing because we can't deliver on all this. There's a lot of things that will get you fired. And so we see those things ahead. We really try to be that strategic partner, just get ahead of those things and say, all right, maybe the salespeople could use some training. And so we have Sandler trainers that we could introduce them to, or maybe they need the manager of the salespeople just need some coaching. A lot of times when the business development world, salespeople are very competent in selling, and then they get promoted to be a manager
and they're the best salesperson.
Because they're the best salesperson. And honestly, I think the things that make you a great salesperson or BD person are probably things that will make you a terrible manager.
Right.
and so I think having that in the end, people don't train salespeople. They're like, this person's awesome. I don't need any training. They're the best salesperson we have. We're not going to train. They need management training.
Sure.
And so we have consultants we introduce for that. And then vice versa, if they're doing that, they go, we're not getting any leads. Can't grow this company without that. Then those people we bring in will say, hey, we should talk to a marketing firm.
Yeah.
I think we need a fractional CMO, or I think we need a strategic workshop, or whatever. We got to get our arms around this marketing problem.
And so tell me about, okay, that's one. So your number one obviously is referring sources. What else have you found effective? And
content marketing has been big for us, and thought leadership content is big for us. And so all that is digital marketing enabled. And I think one of the things because a lot of people ask me, what works the best when it comes to marketing and generating leads and all that stuff? And I think the thing I always like to say is all of it.
Yeah.
It all works, but it has to all work together. You have to think about it end to end. Think about that campaign, what you're trying to achieve. And we have very distinct audiences that we work with at BlueByrd. So we work with mid-market companies, that $20 million to $100 million kind of companies that we work really well with. And that's a great product market fit for our fractional CMO. And so for that, the referrals are really good for that market. And then but we also build a lot of thought leadership content to attract other referral partners. So it's just not our initial network, but other people might fit that thing. So we build a lot of content for EOS integrators to bring them into to just get to know them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we also build like guides and ebooks and traditional marketing stuff that's very targeted to the middle market.
Right.
And really speaks to the problems they have. But then, because you make an ebook doesn't mean anybody's going to know you made it, right?
Exactly.
And we do the whole thing to promote that content. It all goes for all the digital marketing that we do. It is not to promote BlueByrd, but to promote that content, get them in our sales funnel, and then push them down the sales funnel, right? And then, so that's a big one for us. And that really incorporates all aspects of digital marketing because we're just trying to get where the eyeballs are, right? And so once you have the content and you know where the eyeballs are, then the tactics about themselves.
Right.
So they may vary greatly. Then for our larger clients, so enterprise level clients, we do a lot of account-based marketing.
Yeah.
And that's really key for us. And it's been really successful for us in that we know there's key accounts, and this may be a little bit of arrogance on our behalf that are like, man, we should be working with them. They should be working with us. I know we can add value to what they're doing. Why are they not working with us? Why are these companies not working with us? They're right here in Houston, or they're in an industry we're really good at. Why are we not working with that company? And we've solved these problems before, and I'm really confident we could solve the problems they're probably experiencing too. And we make a list of those companies. We make a list of people in that buying center, and we go after them. And from an account-based marketing perspective, and it's not one of the things with account-based marketing is that it's a long play.
That's what I was going to say. It's the long haul, right? You've got
to start off with it and not give up on it, right? Because a statistic we like to talk about a lot is that 97% of your target market is not ready to buy from you. And so there 3% are ready to buy, but how do you get those other people in there so they know who the heck you are? We're a tiny little company.
Exactly.
And so we can't afford to do massive ad campaigns, billboards and all that stuff. So when they are ready to buy, they can do it, but they're account-based, ad buys and some other things like that we do in our LinkedIn or our social media content and all those kinds of things. We just want to get our name out there for them. So they are ready to buy. They come in and they're ready to buy. And sometimes you do catch lightning in a bottle with that ADM, right? Because you put your content up there, you build your programs and your whole campaign. One of the people is ready to buy, sees it right away, and then you're like, oh, that's easy. Yeah. But it doesn't always work like that.
I think I was probably just before COVID, or maybe a year or two before COVID, is really when I started hearing that ABM, account-based marketing and demand gen and all that. So it's been a fairly new way of really coming in and targeting. And I think there's a nuance to it. Fortunately, you do that for your clients too, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you know how to do it with one salesperson, which is you.
Yeah.
What are the challenges with that?
I'm only a third of the sales.
I know.
I'll tell you the challenges you run into with account-based marketing, and this is where with a small business development team or a team of one like me, that's when you have to really rely on marketing to help you. Because I really don't have time to go in there and like the buying center we're selling to you and put everybody in we use HubSpot as our CM, and put them in our accounts, our software programs and all that. So we have a team of people here that help us with that.
That's not where you
And they let me know, hey, Susie Jones read this case study.
Yeah.
Oh, great. She's ready for sales, Richard.
Yeah.
Call her up.
Right.
Shoot her an
That's
email.
helpful because you just can't, as a single salesperson, be on top of all of that and reaching out. And so that's incredibly helpful. And
having the tools too. I think we have some AI-based tools.
Tell me a little bit about that. Like, what tools do you use to you go in and do the buying center? We don't have to give away secrets or anything, but
some of it is just painful good old LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, exactly.
And then some of it is because I think one of the things you have to understand in an ABM campaign is how companies are structured, right?
Sure.
It's a Caterpillar,
especially enterprise level.
The big things, right?
Yeah.
And first, it was frustrating to us as we were learning it. Look, one of our targeted accounts was a Caterpillar, was a client of ours, and they were on our website, and they had engaged with all our stuff.
Right.
They'd viewed 20 ads, and they read 4 of our blog posts and all those other things. I was like, I can't pick up the phone and call Caterpillar.
Exactly.
And like, hey, by the way, who's looking at our stuff? And so as we've gone through, we some ways to get the names of the
sure. Yeah.
But you have to understand the structure of the company, understand who it is in that buying center. There is what segments you're going after. What are you gonna tell them when they call you?
Right. Yeah.
Just because you catch the neighbor's cat, you still know what to do with it, right? You better know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that we want to do. You have to get all that stuff in strategy set up right from the get-go.
Exactly. And it takes a while to get it. And if you don't set it up right from the get-go, then there's a lot of going back afterwards and trying to figure it out. Yeah.
And also we use a tool called Rollworks that helps.
Rollworks.
It's an ABM tool.
Okay.
And it helps with, they use data that will help if there's a company like your targeted accounts that has an intent to buy what you're looking for.
Okay.
So that's how you capture that 3% of the people that are ready to buy.
Sure.
So we will really, look after those kinds of companies. And you can tell as we build our campaigns and as they interact more with us, we develop these lead scores for them. And they're like, okay, these guys when we go through our playbook and go, okay, now these people are ready for Richard to talk to them, to go call them Richard. And so it's a really interesting tool. That's one that works really well for us. It works well for a lot of companies who want to be very focused on it. And like you said, this is a new buzzword, relatively new buzzword, but account-based selling has been in place
for a long time. Sure.
So that was how we first started it, because when I was at SLB, we knew our customers were really well, right? In fact, they're probably 20 of our sales people in their office every week, right?
Yeah.
And so, we knew which accounts to grow. We knew which ones that Halliburton were in that we wanted to steal away from them. And we knew that whole strategy. So that's what really got me aware of it. And so we started doing some account-based focused things there. And a lot of our clients say things like, we want to work with in Guyana. On this thing.
Very targeted and specific.
Crazy target. When you sell something that's tens of millions of dollars,
it's not people buying it.
Yeah, there's you've got a customer base of 8 people involved in that decision making, or 20 people involved in the decision making process. So you get to that buying center and you walk them through it. So everybody that can say no won't say no. It's everybody that can say yes can say, let's give it a shot, right? And how are we going to do that? but you got to get all that buying committee aligned, and you got to make sure that they feel like their goals are going to be taken care of. That's always been a part of when we do those. Really, we work with a lot of very vertically oriented clients. That's what we do always.
Yeah. Okay. I want to get into a little bit about future trends, the kind of advice for sales people, business development people, and entrepreneurs. First, from your perspective, how do you see the digital landscape transforming sales and marketing strategies today? And what do you think we should watch out for in the coming years?
So that's a big question. And we've touched on it a little bit. We've touched on a little bit as we've gone on, but I think that sales and marketing integration, you've got to be working together as a team. And I think the days of when I first started out in business development, they were like, Richard, you got to talk to the decision maker. And there is no such thing as a decision maker in the mid-market. Yes. But for the enterprise level clients, you could talk to the CEO company, and that person is going to say, don't talk to me about that. I've got people for that.
Exactly.
And then they have people that you need to talk to, and they have people you need to talk to. There's people cross domain that have totally different things. And so I think if you're a salesperson, you've got to knock on a lot of doors to close a deal. But if you're a salesperson that can rely and lean on marketing, you don't have to knock on all those doors yourself, right? And you have content. Somebody do go knock on the door. You know what to tell them. You have a little bit of intelligence. You can go in there and say, this person's problem is X. And here's what you need to tell them. And not that it has to be scripted or anything like that, but the people need to be on point when they get those opportunities, because you don't get those opportunities all the time, especially when you're trying to get that big mind committee. And I think that's a big trend that people need to really understand is how marketing and sales can work together.
Got to work with marketing. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to have you as the first person to talk to, because I think it's so critical. And I love how you set up BlueByrd to where the focus is revenue generation and both the sales and marketing. How do you set and foster a culture of innovation and performance within your team?
So that's a big one. And I think one of the things, I think it all starts first who you hire. We are looking for lifelong learners here that aren't afraid to learn, because I think marketing there's a lot of professions that are like this, but I think maybe marketing is the most extreme version of it. Is that, man, the tools that you use, the techniques you use changes very quickly in marketing. If you're not prepared to stay on top of those things, you're just going to get totally left behind. I think about the clients that I did just in my career. I've got a lot of great hair and scar tissue. I have to change and reinvent myself constantly. And then when the pandemic happened, everybody had to totally reinvent themselves, and the stuff that marketing has a lot of burnout in it. And the things that worked great 6 months ago might not work so great today, or the things that work great for one industry suck for another industry. So you've got to stay on top of things, and you've got to be questioning, this is the best way to do it. And so I think it starts with hiring. So we really look for that when we are in the interviewing phase. And then once we do hire people, we have a development and training budget for every one of our employees.
Amazing.
And we put our money where our mouth is. Our employees went to HubSpot.
I saw that. That's amazing. Yeah.
And that's another tool that's changing really rapidly. So we want them to understand what's coming, how we're going to use that for our clients, how we're going to use it for ourselves, all those things. And so we subscribe to LinkedIn Learning just as a whole, account towards advice budget. But we encourage them to use those budgets and to stay on top of things. And sometimes we'll even say, well, we need to use that budget, but you really need to learn how to use this. So we'll invest in our employees and encourage them. And sometimes people do that and then they don't give their employees time to go do things.
Right. Or
so you have the budget. We want you to go to this thing, but by the way, you're too busy, so you're not going to be able to go do that.
You're going to have to go, and you're going to have to work the whole time you're there. Probably that place.
But yeah, no, I think that's critical to be help them stop it. I think if you have the right people, you're not training them. They're coming out and going, hey, did you know that this tool can do this? Did you know this?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to go, right. I didn't know that did that.
Yeah. And that's how that's amazing. I love that strategy. I think if you have learners, especially, you're right, in marketing, when things change so quickly that if you're not on top of it, you're not going to recognize the thing that's coming out, and you're not going to be you're not going to be innovative. Okay. So I have one last question for you, and who knows, it might bring up some other questions, but if you were talking to someone just starting out in their career in sales and marketing, or sales or marketing,
Okay.
what skills do you think are crucial for right now in the digital age that we're in?
Yeah. If you're a marketing person, you want to break into the marketing business. One of the things that you need to be able to do is be very comfortable with digital tools
Oh, yeah.
and, top the latest and greatest innovations out there. I think when we look at young people that we're going to hire, and we're not great at hiring fresh outs, but we want people who can come in and they know how to use the tools that we're going to be using.
Yeah.
Maybe not exactly, or maybe a one that's similar. Because for instance, marketing operations stuff, HubSpot is the one we use, but there's other tools like it. So if there's no Pardot, then they can figure out HubSpot. But be familiar with those tools and understand how to use them, and not be afraid to jump in there and figure that stuff out.
Right.
There's a time when, you can get a 15-year-old to teach you anything you need to know on YouTube. And so I think those tools are really important for marketing and for business development people are, that are trying to get their feet in that business. Also be afraid of the digital tools, because that's the way you're probably going to meet a lot of people.
Oh, sure.
Is like on LinkedIn, all the learn how to do social selling. Shannon Carlson she's done a whole series on social selling. That would be something that I would really want to get my head around.
Sure.
If I were new to business development, especially for young people. I take for granted I've got a bunch of followers on LinkedIn, but that's how you're going to start. That's how you got to start building that profile now and leverage that network as you go. And then the other one is, don't think you have to do everything yourself as a BD person, right? So meet people that you can refer business back and forth to, read The Go-Giver, and learn to give without the expectation that you will receive. Yeah. But if you do that, then you will receive.
You do.
And so build your network, start meeting people, talk to people that you think may not ever influence your business or be able to do that kind of thing, but they're interesting people and they're smart and they're going places. Because guess what? That person might be a CEO of a company for 10 years. Yeah. And so, or 20 years or whenever. Exactly. So start building that network now of those people that you will work with in the future. And also really lean on the marketing. Yeah. Lean on it, because that, and let them know your expectations. Let them know the tools you're going to need to get a deal across the goal line, because if you don't tell them, they won't make it. Sure. Exactly. And if you don't tell them the kind of tools that are going to make the biggest difference, they're going to make a bunch of stuff that are going to wind up in a garbage pail or in a storage room or in a file on your computer that never gets looked at. And so you definitely have to, that partnership really important. So that's what I would say for them. Fantastic.
And that's another thing that I tell marketing people that are starting out is it's helpful to start out in field sales first to get an understanding of what sales needs, because you don't know. Okay, I think that's all I had for you, but now I have a bunch of other questions. We might have to do a part 2 sometime, but much for letting me come here. And I know we both have a meeting right now, so we have to shut down, but really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Cindi. Thanks for having me on. This was great. And you always have some best questions.
Thank you.